Today's video is brought to you by HardSide Hydration. Well, what's going on, Gideon's Tactical family, and welcome back to this very special best of video. You know, we've been on YouTube now for 10 years, and I just want to say thank you so much for being part of the Gideon's Tactical family here. Your continual viewership and contribution through comments and likes and shares has just been epic throughout the years, and I'm so thankful to you, the viewers. Without you, this channel and what I do here week in, week out would not exist. And in today's video, we're going to dive into the best pocket knives of 2022, and we're going to be looking at the best tactical folder, the best budget folder, the best for styling, and the best outdoor folder, just to name a few. And let's kick things off with the best budget folder of 2022, and it's the Kershaw Cargo. This is the larger of the two. There's the debris with the exact same lines, just a little bit more compact. This is 3.2 inches overall, D2 steel, thin, slim polymer handle with steel liners in there. Loop over deep ride pocket clip with recessed screws that is ambidextrous. Solid lockback design, dual thumb studs. It's just a great, slim, sleek EDC, and has kind of a similar profile to the Endura or the Delica from Spyderco, but it's going to come in about half the cost, around $40 on average for this larger cargo model. And it's just a tried and true, simple design, but well executed with upgraded steel over the old HCR 13 MOV that was often used by Kershaw. So it's good to see that price and that steel on this design. And if there was any drawback or con to it, it would just be that the handle is very slim and narrow. It does fill out my large size hands in length, but those of you who like your beefier grip on your folders, it's just not going to offer that. Now flipping to the opposite end of the spectrum, what was the best American made folder that we tested and saw this year? And it's the Zero Tolerance 0308. This one has the Stonewash blade in 20 CV steel, an excellent steel, titanium body, G10 scale on one side with that frame lock. Big and beefy, 3.7 inch blade, huge, big handle, excellent flipper on the KVT ball bearing system, huge lockup for that frame lock. And it's a beast, and kind of heralds back to what zero tolerances were when I first got into testing knives those 10 years ago, where they were big, more tactical, heavy duty, whereas now a lot of ZTs are a lot more slim, sleek, carbon fiber, streamlined, Ferrari. This heralds back to a time where they were built like tanks. If there was any drawbacks to the design, one, it's just pricing. At $350 for the newest Tiger Stripe version, it's a pretty penny. This one and its tan handle scaled brother can still be picked up for around $250 to $300 where available, but for $300 to $350, it's a lot of money to throw down after a blade, even though it is made in America with that 20 CV steel. And this big gap back here, some may view it as an excellent feature that you can blow out the pivot very easily and clean it out. Some may see it as a collection point for grime, grit, and dirt. So that will be up for you to determine. But overall, for an American-made folder, it just harkened back to a time that I just loved, and I love carrying it. Now, for the best tactical folder of the year, it has to be the Cold Steel 8010 Light in the Tanto hollow grind version. Now, at the beginning of the year, I did the original with the Drop Point, Saber Grind, and S35 VN. And this is one tough overbuilt folder, but two critiques I had was that the Saber Grind just wasn't the best slicer because it's 0.16 inches thick. And the tip, though fine for outdoor use, just isn't that good at stabbing and piercing. And I really felt like the handle design, just the overall grip, girth, and ergonomics really set it up to be a good tactical folder if they ever made it in a Tanto and then put a hollow grind on it. 6 months later, all of you in the outdoor and folder community, I'm sure they saw what we were saying. They put a Saber Grind on the tip, gave us this awesome Tanto, and then a hollow secondary grind back here, put it on AUS 10 steel, put some different G10, I believe it's like Grivery handle scales now, and offered it at just under $100. All of those things going together into it. This is lethal and just has amazing piercing capability. The hollow grind really stepped up the slicing capability as well. And then you got full grip and that huge, thick triad locking mechanism. It's rock solid. And if I was going to critique it in any way, because it is called the AD10 Lite, I would have loved to have them just mill out the liners because it still is quite beefy at right around 6 ounces. If they had just milled out the liners some, that would have still kept all of the strength, but maybe dropped in an ounce or two and made it even more carryable. So you really have to commit to the design and see the need for a large Tanto design blade for it to be a regular carry. But I want to take a quick time out to share about HardSide Hydration. HardSide Hydration, with their Swig Rig system and other water bottle accessories, gives us all the convenience of a water bottle hose attached to a bladder, but gives us the strength and versatility of it being attached to your favorite rigid water bottle. With this system being attached to my water bottle on the exterior of my bag, it frees up internal space for more of my equipment and gear. It's less prone to leaks, and if there are any issues, it's on the exterior of the bag instead of all of my interior gear getting soaked. And when I get to my destination, I can easily just disconnect it and go back to using it as a dedicated water bottle. It has now become one of my favorite pieces of kit. And I'm thankful to you, the viewers, for recommending this brand to me over a year ago. I did not even know it existed. One of you suggested it, went over there, began to test it out across the country, now use it regularly. And just knowing that this is designed by a small business founded right here in America, and that they are creating solutions for problems that you and I, the outdoor user, often have. So guys, I'm gonna have a link in the description box below over to HardSide Hydration, as well as a 10% off promo code towards your purchase, so that you can go check out all the different features and accessories that they have to help you get the most out of your rigid water bottles. Well, the best outdoor folder of the year is a simple choice for me, with the Buck 110 Sport. The full-size version, they do make this in the 112 Ranger smaller version. This just gives you everything you need. The amount of real estate on the blade at 3.75, large handle. This has the thicker micarta scales with the aluminum bolsters and back end. Just fills out your hands so nicely, and you can use it in a lot of different grips for an extended period of time. And with the micarta being warm to the touch and giving you some texture if it were to get wet, it's a good grip compared to a lot of other slick or synthetic handles that might be out there. And with S30V steel on that hollow grind and wicked clip point, it'll make feather sticks like nothing, be able to process fish and game if necessary, and just do a lot of different tasks around the campsite or when you're on a day trek. And with that deep ride loop over pocket clip, recessed screws, so well done. If there was a critique for this knife and a con, it's that you lefties are out of luck. It is not ambidextrous at this point in time. It'd be great even if they offered a version that was just for lefties and you could pick between the two. I understand it's for aesthetic reasons mainly, but that is a detractor for the 10% of the population that I'm sure would love to get their hands on one, but are left-handed. This next folder has the best styling I've seen in years, and especially this year, and it's the Wii Knives Reaver. Words are hard to use to describe what went into the designing of this folder, and I'm gonna do my best to show you on screen here. At 3.7, I believe, or 3.9 actually, I think, on the overall blade length. Slight sweeping, swedging everywhere, the two-tone on the blade with satin coming through and then coating on the secondary portion, then into this titanium handle that has this crazy blue with milling everywhere, and it's titanium, so that takes a lot more out of the machinery, a lot more difficult to work with than just a simple stainless steel. Flow through into even that lanyard hole, matching colors on the hardware, into a frame lock. Just look at all that along there. The pivot point accented so nicely. The pocket clip. It's nice to see not a loop over. I like this style for what the design is. And there are several color combinations. This is the blue on black. And then a frame lock that engages super solid on ball bearing bushings. So it just falls perfectly. The speed and execution is just amazing with that mini flipper. So it's not this huge flipper, super easy to engage. I love, that is like the best drop I've seen in years. Look at that, just like perfectly timed. It's not like whee, like a guillotine. It's not like gritty, you know, and you're struggling to get it in. You're kind of like, get in there. Even, hopefully you guys can see this, even in the handle, they carved out a track for the blade to go into, so it buries itself in there, perfectly centered. I mean, it is wild, the execution that went into this S35 VN steel. It is nuts. And then you also have that slit right there that you can use if you don't like flippers. So you have a dueling, you know, action basically for deployment. It's really hard for me to nitpick, you know, is there like an issue? And you're gonna, it's about 250, so 260 maybe for this. So all of the materials going into that, the execution, it's not ambidextrous. So again, 10% of the population, you're cut out. Again, this is probably an aesthetic thing, but with how much detail went into it, they could have come up with some really cool plate or something to swap the pocket clip. And even though that tip does pierce rather well, the cleaver design I know is not for everybody. And it would be great to see this exact same design, but with maybe a clip point or something like that to give a little extra versatility to us, the knife user. But I mean, if you just like the aesthetics of a blade, I mean, I don't know of one in my collection that really comes quite as close to all of the effort that went into the designing of this blade. And if you're enjoying this video, I invite you to subscribe if you're not yet a subscriber. Make sure to hit that bell icon so that you can be notified when a new video goes live, because I'm putting up content every single week. And don't forget to smash that like button. And guys, throughout this video, I'm gonna have a bunch of hyperlinks to all the affiliate programs that I regularly partner with here, so that if one of these knife designs makes sense for you, do appreciate it when you use those hyperlinks, or just gear purchases in general. It's free for you and helps me to continue to make content just like this. So the best automatic knife of 2022 is the Deploy series from Buck. They really executed this well with a kind of coffin design. This is the regular. There is a mini version that my boys absolutely love. It's perfect for those who want an auto, but either legally have to have a certain blade length, because it is California legal at under 2 inches for the blade, or just, you know, to start your kids off or things like that. But the accents are great, lots of color combinations, really nice blade shape, well executed. And one of the things that really stood out to me as well is just the action. A lot of autos are almost too snappy, and if you don't get your finger off the button lock fast enough, they will rebound off of the stop bar, and then, you know, you have to like readjust them to get them. So you got to get this timing down. This one is the perfect speed, not too slow, but not too fast, and I don't feel like I'm chasing the button off. Got a safety for those who want it, but it's recessed enough that if that's an issue for you, you don't really like safeties, it never is an issue to accidentally get engaged. Made in the USA, loop over, deep ride pocket clip. Another big pro is that a lot of autos you're not gonna find are ambidextrous. Most of them are right hand only. This one is a fully ambidextrous blade, so you can swap the pocket clip for you lefties. And just a really fun auto to use. The only downside being the 154 CM steel choice to the price point. It would have been great to see S30V instead for about what they're charging, at about 165, I believe, for this model, between 165 and 170 when I'm making the video, where you can get blades from, say, the Kershaw Launch series for like 120, 130 max with CPM 154 CM. So Buck knows S30V. I think that would have been a better direction to go with for the steel, but it's still a great option, particularly if you want some of these features that the Launch series and other ones may not have. The best intimidator of the year that will intimidate those that you encounter is the cold steel Espada. Now, there are several different versions out there. This is the AUS 10 a version 5.5-inch blade. I mean, just look at that Persian influence, continuous sweep, amazing clip point. And it actually is not not a Persian influence. It's actually based off of a Spanish design from Spain. Got that plain plate deployment that can either be used almost in an Emerson wave format, so you don't even have to deploy the blade with your finger. It will come out on your pocket as you deploy it, or you can use it as a finger plate. Ambidextrous, insane triad locking mechanism, massive G10 handles, and I think I paid like $120 for this, maybe $110. So the value to price is insane. You can back up, and now you got this. I mean, it's like a perfect, knife for like a Viking. Huge, just huge handle, very intimidating factor, but still usable. And just a lot of fun to have. You whip this thing out, at your Christmas party, and people are gonna be like, what the? You're opening presents around the Christmas tree with the fam. Oh man, intimidation factor to the max, and it won't break the bank. If there was any, detractor from the design, it would just literally be the size. I mean, the handle is ginormous, and a lot of your pockets may not quite fit it. It's very difficult to get this into a dress pair of pants, but if you're willing to deal with the size of the blade, the intimidation factor, and the girth and largeness of its capability is very hard to compete with. What about the best sleeper blade of 2022? The knife that no one seems to really be talking about, but that I absolutely love. Even when I did the original review, there just wasn't a lot of interest, but for me, it's just really scratching an itch, meets this really cool blending, and has got some really unique attributes. And it's the Viper Knives Orso 2. And this is made in Italy out of a very unique steel. I always got to read it off. LO-QPM 20-4, which is in the family, made in Germany. It's in the family of M390, but they rock welded a little bit softer. So it's a little bit easier to work with. Put an edge, fine edge back on. I loved working with it. Great symmetry, micarta. You can get titanium, you can get carbon fiber. I love the lines and contouring of that micarta. And then the backside is titanium milled. Oh my gosh. Very cool and rounded. Whereas even on some of the other models, it's blockier or just kind of more squared. This is rounded with that really cool, one of the coolest unique pocket clips I've seen in a very long time, righty only. So that would be one detractor from the design, but just super cool. Mini flipper and runs on ball bearings. Drops into place there. And not ridiculously priced for an Italian-made knife with this type of a steel. Flow through construction there. I mean, just super, super cool. It's going to be, this model is like $175, I believe. So not bad for this type of steel, the very cool lines and features. And I was just very pleased with the uniqueness. It feels like something from a Lord of the Rings, like a pocket knife an elf would carry or something like that out of Lord of the Rings. And so I really, really like that aspect to the design. And the ball bearing pivot system is smooth, but I've had a lot smoother, and you definitely have to put almost a little pressure on it to get it back in. You can drop it in, but it's just not quite as smooth as some other models that are out there. So the next one is the best mistake of 2022, and it's the Benchmade Ridout. I just recently did the video on this, and in a lot of ways, guys, I actually like the design better than my Griptilian because it has a higher saber grind than what you get on the Griptilian, with more of a belly and a sweep, but still giving you a swedge. Got that axis lock, polymer handle, so again, very similar to what you get on the Griptilian, but the deep ride loop over pocket clip is so excellent, and it's ambidextrous. It is so well done, and definitely an upgrade over just the generic, more standoffish, causing more of a hot spot than this guy does on the Ridout. The downfall and the cons is that it's CPM D2 steel, Rockweld 60 to 62, so it is very well done. It's basically like the best D2 you can get on the market, but at $180, it's just hard for most people to process that for the other materials that go into it. And if it either had been priced much lower or gone with a different steel, I think that there would have been a lot more love towards this. But if you were to ask me between my Griptilian and the Ridout, I actually tend to carry the Ridout now, since it's in the collection, more than my Griptilian, even though it's $40 more in price. So what about the best redemption story of 2022? The best knife company or knife that really is hopefully setting a precedent for the future and redeeming some of the bad choices and designs and materials that have existed in the past. To me, it's the Gerber Savvy. There it is, American-made 20 CV steel, about 3.5-inch blade. This one is the aluminum handle scale, ambidextrous version. There is a carbon fiber ambidextrous version as well. Saber grind, really cool reverse tanto, almost a sheep's foot design. Runs on their crossbar system, really well done. I have zero complaints with it. I know that they did some tweaking with it. It's got bronze housing, so in many ways we could argue is smoother and more reliable than, say, the Axis lock and other crossbar systems that may exist out there. And at $200, it comes in right about the same price as the Benchmade Osborne full size, but that has S30V steel currently, and this has the 20 CV, which is a better overall steel for about the same price and made in America with the lifetime warranty. So what, if any, detractors are there or cons to the design? Honestly, it comes down to quality control. Gerber sent me two this year. This one was doable on the edge geometry. The carbon fiber version was dull as a butter knife. And if you're gonna pay $250, you don't wanna have to completely reprofile a 20 CV steel blade. And so that's one of the main aspects that I saw with the design, is just getting Gerber's quality control dialed in, and they are now in many of their blades offering materials, American made, and designs that are extremely addictive, extremely desirable. And it's a redemption story because this knife is amazing. And in many ways, I kind of like it better than my Osborne that I've had in the past. And hopefully they can get that final quality control under control so that we know that every time we're going to be getting an excellent tool. And as we approach the end of the 2022 lineup and the best of what is the just best overall folder I used, handled, the most addictive, the most enjoyable, just the best, let's say, EDC, and overall, if you were going to just pick one and you're like, okay, I've only got enough of a budget to get one tool, what would it be? It came out of nowhere. The Savvi Conspirator. This blade is so addictive. The design that went into it, though on the surface may seem kind of basic and rudimentary, is just wowzers. So the value is there. This model is about $80. It is made out of Nitro V steel. There are other variants and a lot exclusive versions being produced. I know at BLADEHQ, to my knowledge, this was the best selling pocket knife of 2022. The Nitro V is a super cool steel. It's kind of unique. You don't see it quite that often. And one of the main attributes is this button lock system. It is not an auto, but it runs on a button lock, and I love it with the ball bearing. Oh my gosh, deployment. You can treat it like an Axis lock where you whip it back and forth. The flipper, just so well executed, nice jimping. The blade shape, high saber grind with that accent of that fuller that you can also use, or you can literally just depress the button and flip it open. So there's 3 different ways you can activate the tool. It's like 3.4 inches overall. Great tip for piercing. I mean, it's good food prep, good EDC, good general utility. Micarta handle scales on this version, but you can get wood handle scales and G10, and has milling. Yeah, just have to double check that milling. Flow through construction, and then loop over deep ride ambidextrous pocket clip with recessed screws. I mean, it is the entire package for under $100, and I honestly cannot find an issue with it. I can't. I love it. I love it. I love it. multiple friends, family, other blade lovers, even other knife designers that I've met throughout the year. I've handed it to and they're like, dude, I have to get one of these. This is excellent. This is an excellent, excellent pocket knife. The ergonomics are just so simple, but just so true. And I guess, okay, I'll say this one thing. If I was gonna find a con, it's that the pocket clip has too much of a flare. There's my little tiny critique. That's a little obnoxious. It would have been nicer to have just a slightly lower flusher, if you will, pocket clip. Other than that, freaking amazing. And my top choice, top pick for 2022. Well, there it is, guys. My list for 2022 best folders that we tested and reviewed here at the channel. I invite you to leave a comment below and give me some ideas for 2023. We're gonna hit the ground running. I got so many amazing, interesting, different blades and gear to test out for you, and it's only going to get bigger and better as we jump into 2023. I do invite you to, again, subscribe if you're not yet a subscriber, and check out the other video popping up, and stay tuned because we got lots more content before the end of the year as well. And until next time, always remember, stay equipped, stay prepared, and I'll see you out there.